What is going on, guys? Welcome to Greggles TV. This is going to be a comparison of the Surface Duo 2 from Microsoft versus the Galaxy Z Fold 3. Now, both of these phones are mega expensive. This phone starts off at $14.99 and then works its way up from there. So it's $128 for $14.99. This phone, the Galaxy Z Fold 3, at retail, and obviously you can get a deal on these phones sometimes, that would be, whatever, holiday or something else going on a sale. But the Galaxy Z Fold 3 retails for $17.99. So both are very expensive and goes up from there. So keep that in mind if you're looking at price-wise. You're not really going to have anything too too budget-wise here. These aren't budget phones. These are ultra premium priced phones. All right, so let's talk about the looks of these phones. So they're pretty interesting phones. The Galaxy Z Fold 3 folds in half and has a display on the front that is fully usable, but it's super skinny and makes typing a little bit difficult. I'll show you real quick. I'll just bring some of that up here. You can type here, and you can see the keyboard is so small, really small. But when you open it up this way, especially if you're using Gboard, you can have a huge keyboard. So different ways to look at it. You got 3 cameras on the back. You get this great reflective surface. It does come in different colors as well. You got a hinge right there. Speakers at the top and at the bottom. Buttons on the side. Just a very interesting phone. Super futuristic. It's definitely an attention getter. Both phones are going to be attention getters, but I've had the Z Fold 3 out in public a lot more than the Surface Duo 2, and this just almost always gets a pop from the crowd saying, "Oh my God, what is that?" So, also the camera is underneath the display, which not a great camera, but it gets the job done with the video calls and stuff like that. But for pictures and videos, it's not that great. But otherwise, you do have camera right there, and then some 3 cameras in the back. Surface Duo 2 has 2 giant displays right here, not giant, but 5.6-inch displays right here. You close it. No displays on the front or the back. You do get this camera setup on the back there, which does have a little bit of a lip that sticks out there. You get really nothing at the top. Your buttons are on the side. It's a kind of a similar button setup here, whereas you get the power button, which acts as a fingerprint sensor on both of these. Your volume button's above that. You do get stereo speakers on both of these, and we will compare the speakers. You get USB-C charging. You also get a little notification panel thing here. When you get some notifications, it'll light up. But ultimately, for looks, it's tough, but because I know which phone I like better. But looks-wise, I would say if I was going to choose looks-wise, I'd probably choose the Z Fold 3. I think it's more futuristic and kind of cool. Now, both of these run Android. Both of them are on Android 11. Z Fold 3 I actually have on Android 12. It's the beta version. But ultimately, if you're looking for a phone that's going to probably get updates faster and more regularly, I'd probably say look at the Z Fold 3 with the track record of the the Surface Duo 2. It was kind of sketchy. That one's still on Android 10. It's going to be updated to Android 11 probably at the end of this year or early next year. Or even Android 12, I should say, probably. But it's just so super slow with the updates. They've been better at the updates on this one so far, with like security updates and stuff like that, but nothing really major going on right there. In terms of customization, you're probably going to want to go with the Z Fold 3, and that's probably true of almost any phone on Android due to the fact that it has an app called Good Lock that gives you complete customization over almost every aspect of the phone, from the way it looks to the sounds, to the quick toggles and the home screens and the launcher and themes. And I mean, you think it's on here. It has an S Pen support. Both of these phones have pen support. The keyboard, there's so much customization built into this one app. And then beyond that, the Z Fold 3 also, you just go into settings and it has even more customizations, from going into your, advanced features. It has tons of stuff in here. So I'd say for customizations and stuff, you want to go the Z Fold 3. But Surface Duo does, don't get me wrong, has some customizations on here from, you see all that stuff. You swipe up, you have basically full control over these 2 displays, which is really cool. You could be running an app over here. We'll just open an app real quick. We'll open up YouTube, go down to YouTube real quick. So we'll open up YouTube, and then you can be over here doing something else. So it's kind of cool. That's a cool software trick, I'd guess you'd say. You can also move these over real quickly. That's nice, right? Not bad at all. Open up a browser window, and you can have two windows ultimately running at the same time, which is freaking awesome. You can do that over here too. So for instance, if I've got Instagram and YouTube, I have these both running at the same time. Now, it is easier to see it on the Surface Duo 2 due to the fact that it's full screen, and this one is on the Z Fold 3 is more, truncated or smaller, skinnier, whatever you want to call it. So I definitely would think that just looking at these on that display, it's a cool software trick. Switch these over if you want. Now, some other cool stuff that you can do in here. So for instance, you can drag a window so it goes all the way across. So I have YouTube here, and if I drag it across, I can have it play in the full entire, both screens at the same time, which is pretty freaking cool. So again, that's pretty amazing. And then also just to be able to run two windows at once on the same thing and completely control them independently, whereas on a Z Fold 3, when I do something like that, it's cool, but it's not, it's not as big, it's not a slouch, but I would prefer to see it as big as I can, at least the wideness, on the Surface Duo 2 versus the Galaxy Z Fold 3. But both are really, really cool. You can run up to like 8 windows or something floating and stuff with the Z Fold 3. The most you're gonna be able to do on here is probably like 3 or 4, but still pretty amazing. But if I had to choose a multitasking champ in terms of it being more intuitive in the way it works, I'd probably choose the Surface Duo 2. So software, if it's updates are important for you, choose the Z Fold 3. For customization, choose the Z Fold 3. If multitasking is the only thing that's important to you, both of them do a really, really great job. So you really won't go wrong with either one of them. For me personally, just running 2 windows at the same time, full screen on the Surface Duo 2 is pretty badass and awesome. So I'd probably choose the Surface Duo 2 with that one. Also, reliability of the software. I find that the Z Fold 3 is just seemingly more reliable with running apps, and just overall just weird less jagginess of the software and just bugginess. Stuff will close out than the Surface Duo 2, so that's another thing to keep in mind. But overall, in a general just software sense of both of these, I would choose the Z Fold 3 the winner by a pretty far margin. Speed on these, both of these have the Snapdragon 888. This has 12 gigs of RAM, this has 8 gigs of RAM. This has 120 hertz display, this has a 90 hertz display on both of these. Both of them run really, really well. I do feel like the Z Fold 3 is just a little bit smoother and a little bit faster with everything having to be not only the display, but also just running these phones on a day-to-day basis. It just feels a little bit smoother and faster, and it has a little bit more RAM. And like I said, the software is just a little bit better, at least in my eyes, running these on a daily basis. So for performance, if you need the best performer, both of them perform pretty darn well. You're gonna be able to play video games on both of these without really any issues. You're gonna be able to run your daily social media apps and things like that on a daily basis. And you're not gonna really have any issues, but just beans to beans, I'd choose the Z Fold 3 for performance as the winner. Next, let's talk about the cameras. I wouldn't say either one of these phones has amazing cameras, but with that said, what I would say is that, they have okay cameras, or better than okay cameras. And I will show you some samples of photos and videos that I took with both these phones, but ultimately anything that you want to do from video, portrait mode, photo mode, panorama, all that stuff's in here. Night mode, again, all that stuff is on both of these phones. So let's check out some of the samples of photos and videos I captured with both of these phones. All right, guys, here we go. You're gonna see my mess of an office. I'm just gonna hold it high so you don't see too much mess. But this is the back cameras of both of these phones. And just looking at the screens here, like those lights right there are pretty yellow looking, but in real life they're pretty white looking. So keep that in mind. Let's get a little bit closer to the guitar and see how you can react to that one and see in there. There you guys go. Next, we'll do a speaker test. I'm going to make sure both of these are maxed out on the sound on here. There we go. So we'll check out some speaker tests. I'm going to hold them in my hand like this. We'll go to this first song. It sounds to me that the Z Fold 3 has a brighter sound to it and also seems a little bit louder. But let's try out another song here. Yeah, they sound pretty close just in a side-by-side comparison. The Z Fold 3 does sound a little bit louder, which is more important to me. And I'm going to say louder, I maybe 10 to 20% louder, nothing too crazy. Both of them have good speakers, at least from what I can hear, side by side here. It's tough to choose a clear-cut winner, but if I had to choose a winner, it would be the Z Fold 3, just by a small margin. Next, let's check out the fingerprint sensor on here. You can see very, very accurate for that Surface Duo fingerprint sensor. Also very, very accurate on the Z Fold 3. The only problem is with the Z Fold 3, sometimes it's, especially if you don't have a case, which I do have a case, but if you don't have a case, sometimes it's a little difficult to figure out where the fingerprint sensor is. But once you put a case on, it's not that bad. Holding these phones in your hand, that's something to be said. So when I use my Z Fold 3, I have it in a case and I have a pop socket on it. It makes it extremely easy to hold with the pop socket, have it be closed or opened. But when you remove that factor, holding this obviously like this is a lot easier than holding this when it's completely wide open. Once it's wide open, you could hold it with one hand if you have huge hands. I have pretty small hands, but it's a two-handed phone, so keep that in mind. This is definitely a two-handed phone, pretty much no matter what. You can angle it so it's a single-hand phone, and you can still hold it, but it's still pretty wide in your hand and pretty big. But then when you have it like this, the cameras are blocked. So when you want to use the cameras, you have to open the phone. So ergonomically, this isn't really that perfect. There's some cool things about it, holding it like that, like a TP, so you can use it, angled up like that. You can kind of do that with a Z Fold 3. You can hold it like, you can, use the phone like that. I do prefer this method of using it like that. So like the origami use of this phone, or both of these phones, I should say, the ways you can use them to make them different, I'd probably choose the Surface Duo 2 in that regard. But I don't like that when I use the cameras, especially the back ones, for instance, that I have to have the phone open. You cannot close it and make it a little bit more easier to hold. You cannot, unless you're doing the front camera. That's the only time you could use the phone cameras when it's closed. Otherwise, if you want to use those back ones, you have to use it wide open. So handheld, in use, all that stuff. Again, I'd choose a Z Fold 3. Accessories. No, both these phones, you can obviously use Bluetooth earphones with these. You could use USB-C earphones with both of these. You could get an adapter and use wired headphones with these, like the old 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks. Neither of these have regular headphone jacks, but if you get the adapters, you can do that. When it comes down to like cases, you're going to have a better selection with the Z Fold 3 in terms of cases and protection for things like that. You can get cases for this, don't get me wrong, but not as many. And it's not, even with this phone, you can't even get nearly as many cases as you can with just a traditional candy bar phone like the 6 Pro from Pixel. But if cases are important to you, you like a bigger selection, you're gonna wanna choose the Z Fold 3 without a doubt. In terms of features that these phones have, the Z Fold 3 has more. Has a rating that you can actually submerge this in water and you should be safe. It doesn't have dust resistance, but it has water resistance. It has wireless charging on here, so you can wirelessly charge a device on the back of this phone, and you can wirelessly charge this on the back of a wireless charger. They've come out and said like you can like get this wet basically in the rain, but you can't submerge it in water. You might be able to submerge it in water and it might be fine, but it's not rated for that. You can't wirelessly charge with this. Both of these phones come with 5G. Both of these phones have NFC, so if you want to use NFC payments, you can do that stuff. But in terms of feature-wise, the Z Fold 3 wins it. All right, so the winner at the end of the day, which of these phones would I choose and why? I think you can obviously see where I'm going with this. It's the Z Fold 3. It has more features. It performs a little bit better. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think the extra cost helps it with it. You know, you're gonna get better software updates, at least so far, with the Z Fold 3. You get the ability to customize this every which way you'd want to because it's a Samsung Galaxy phone and they just give you so much power over that. I like the cameras better on the Z Fold 3. Battery life, it's a toss-up, I guess. Maybe the Surface Duo wins that one. For me, on my side anyway, but I know a lot of people get pretty good battery life with the Z Fold 3. Sometimes I know they don't get good battery life. The screen I feel like is better on the Z Fold 3. The speakers are slightly better on the Z Fold 3. The software, like I said, is better. It looks better in a general sense. But again, this is a really cool phone as well. And don't get me wrong, it's not a cool phone. It's just not for me, and there's enough missing from it. And just using these in your hand, like for instance, when I'm walking, I say this all the time. I can't use this when I'm walking, and I hate that I have to keep it open when I'm taking photos, especially with the back camera. So Z Fold 3 is a winner. Let me know what your winner is in the comments down below, and we'll see you down the road.